I ask my fellow Oregonians, no matter who you voted for, or even whether you voted at all, to believe in our state and our future.
We begin here at 5 o'clock with the first victory declaration from Tina Kotek in the race for governor. The Oregonian has projected the Democrat will win and become Oregon's next leader.
So let's take a look at things, how they stand right now. Multnomah County reporting in just the last few minutes, the gap widening to about 78,000 votes now between Christine Drazen and Tina Kotek. We have not heard yet from Clackamas County today. The Oregonian estimating about 20% of votes cast in this race remain, though their projection means their decision team does not believe the data supports that Drazen will be able to catch up. Thanks for joining us. I'm David Molko.
And I'm Laurel Porter. Kotek's Republican opponent, Christine Drazen, has not conceded, though Kotek did speak this morning and declared victory. Our Blair Best joins us in the newsroom with details. Blair.
Laurel, during the speech today, she said she talked with both Republican challenger Christine Drazen and unaffiliated candidate Betsy Johnson first thing this morning. She described their conversations as very cordial and plans to continue talking with them after they've all had a little rest. Meanwhile, Drazen put out a statement today saying she has not conceded and is waiting for all the votes to be counted. It was a triumphant morning for Democrats of all ages, gathered on the steps of the Portland waterfront. Projected winner Tina Kotek met with long-awaited cheers from dozens of supporters as she declared victory in the race for Oregon governor.
I'm excited to stand before you today as the governor-elect of the great state of Oregon.
What was an incredibly close race, now one for the history books, as she's Oregon's first openly lesbian governor.
The campaign has been a tremendous journey. I've heard from Oregonians across our beautiful state that they want things to be better. They want problems solved, and they want to be included in the solutions to our toughest challenges.
The timing of her speech considered controversial to the many Oregonians still holding out hope for her Republican challenger, Christine Drazen. A lot of people argue it's too soon to declare victory. Christine Drazen has not conceded yet. They're still waiting for votes to be counted. They argue the race will continue to tighten. What's your response to that?
I think we are here today because the Oregonian has projected me as the winner. I think the analysis is showing that. I did speak with Leader Drazen this morning. She understands that that's where that analysis is, and it's time to get back. It's time to start work. So there's an urgency from voters, and we are moving forward. Peter.
Once in office, Kotek plans to focus on three things: the homeless crisis, expanding access to mental health and addiction treatment, and unifying the state.
I promise to be a governor for all of Oregon. I ask my fellow Oregonians, no matter who you voted for, or even whether you voted at all, to believe in our state and our future. Please be engaged so we can all help solve problems together.
Among the crowd, a group of high school students.
I will admit I was so nervous. I had it pulled up on my phone, like the race the whole time. I was really scared.
We know that Gen Z is going to be one of the largest voting blocks coming up here in the next few years. So having people get involved early is really going to be key to making sure that our priorities get addressed.
Priorities like reproductive rights, climate change, and gun control.
I'm really concerned with my personal freedom as a woman.
I also grew up with two lesbian moms, so having that representation in office is really important to me.
Hearing from young Oregonians like these, a focus for Kotek throughout her entire campaign.
She was willing to listen to the voices of people like ourselves, like young people who, even though not all of us are old enough to vote, we still have priorities, we still have issues that we really care about.
I know that we can make things better, fix things, come together. Because Oregonians don't back down when things get hard. We dig in, we think outside the box, and we get the job done. Thank you.
Kotek also announced that her former chief of staff will lead her team as they transition into the governor's office. She plans to travel to the communities that mainly voted for Republican Christine Drazen at the start of the new year. David, Laurel.
Thank you, Blair. And there are a number of key local races that don't have winners announced yet as ballots continue to be counted. And one that could have national implications is the U.S. House race for District 3 in Southwest Washington. It's between Democrat Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez and Republican Joe Kent. You can see the numbers there. They're pretty much the same numbers we've had since this morning. Not a lot of change there. Under 5% separates the two of them. We are expecting more results later tonight. And we spoke to Gluesenkamp-Perez earlier this afternoon about how the results for her are going so far.
We're cautiously optimistic. Anything could happen, but we have a large advantage right now. We're watching closely, and Joe Kent said over and over and over that he would accept the results of the election. And so I said the same thing. We're on the same page there, and we look forward to a smooth transition.
And again, we are expecting new vote totals to come in tonight. This seat has been held by longtime Republican Representative Jamie Herrera Butler. Joe Kent ousted her in the primary. If Democrats manage to flip the position, it could be crucial in their effort to maintain control of the U.S. House of Representatives.
Well, a couple of key U.S. House races in Oregon also remain too close to call. That includes this one, District 5, between Republican Lori Chavez DeRemer, Democrat Jamie McLeod Skinner. This is sitting about where it sat, I think, about 24 hours ago as the votes come in. Let's head over to District 6, the new district, though. This race, well, it keeps changing minute to minute. I was saying it was getting narrower, but there we have Andrea Salinas with 50%, Mike Erickson about 2 percentage points behind. We will track ballot by ballot as the count comes in.
Oregon Measure 114 is projected to pass, and it will create some of the strictest gun laws in the country. But not every county sheriff is on board. Tim Gordon's in Albany for us. And Tim, the Lynn County Sheriff is balking at the new gun law coming.
Yeah, Laurel, she is. And, we hope to talk with Sheriff Michelle Duncan about this today, but she never came out to visit with us. Here's what she wrote in part on Facebook, saying, unfortunately, we are seeing the passage of ballot measure 114. This is a terrible law for gun owners, crime victims, and public safety. Adding, I want to send a clear message to Lynn County residents that the Lynn County Sheriff's Office is not going to be enforcing magazine capacity limits. Remember, Measure 114 will require a 5-year permit and federal background check on all gun purchases. It will also require gun safety training. And the measure bans the sale of magazines holding more than 10 rounds of ammunition in Oregon. Now, as we mentioned, Measure 114 is not popular in Lynn County, but the sheriff appears to be on her way to re-election right now. We talked to people here in Albany, and it was frankly hard to find anyone very upset that the sheriff is not planning to fully enforce the new law.
Good for her.
Tell me why.
Because that 114 is the most bogus bill I've ever read.
In our Second Amendment right, we have a right to be able to, purchase things that we want to purchase.
To me, it was like the law was voted in, and thinking it's her responsibility to enforce the law.
If the courts say...
Some concern from that last man there. Now, we also checked in with Tung Yin, a law professor at Lewis and Clark, about whether local law enforcement can not enforce the state law. He said it's a bit of a gray area. They may argue they don't have the resources to make it a priority, or they may argue a law is unconstitutional. And ultimately, that is where this is going to be decided, that second point at least, about the constitutionality. Likely this will end up in court. And by the way, Lynn County is not alone in this. The sheriff in Union County is also saying he's not planning on enforcing Measure 114. Back to you.
Tim Gordon in Albany tonight. Thank you, Tim. Let us talk about Portland's gun violence epidemic now. A shooting in the Montevilla neighborhood that left a teenage girl badly hurt. Let's bring in Mike Benner, outside police headquarters this evening, downtown Portland. Mike, what is the latest here? Is there anybody in custody?
Unfortunately, no arrests yet, but I can tell you detectives with the Major Crimes Unit are on top of it, and working in their favor is the time of day this happened. It happened in the middle of the afternoon, broad daylight, and we understand there were witnesses. So now it's just a matter of tracking down the shooter.
Aside from the sound of kids playing at nearby Vestal Elementary School, all was quiet along Northeast Cooch near 80th Thursday morning. A far cry from the chaos that unfolded late Wednesday afternoon.
All of a sudden, I just hear 6 shots, just boom, 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 boom.
Trey Farrell works in the neighborhood. He and a coworker rushed towards the gunfire, and they were quickly overcome with shock.
I seen the neighbor girl, she was dropping to her knees. There's blood everywhere, and she just fell down.
It's bad, and that just shows you the times that we're living in.
Rufus Edmonds is relieved to know the girl, just 15 years old, will survive. Police describing her injuries as serious but not life-threatening.
You always want to protect them, but this was broad daylight. Who would have known?
Not Rufus or his co-worker, that's for sure. What the two men do know is just how bad Portland's gun violence epidemic has gotten. Since the start of the year, there have been more than 1,100 shootings in the Rose City, more than 300 people injured by the gunfire, more than 60 people killed.
You just got to be careful out, and kind of no matter where you go. It's just like this world's so crazy out here. It's like anything can happen at any time. You never know who you're talking to.
Trey Farrell's heart breaks for the teen who was shot and injured just feet from his work, and he's hoping police can track down the shooter.
Yeah, absolutely. Like it's crazy. Honestly, like she was a child, like literally a child. Like it's messed up.
Yeah, nobody will argue that point. Just awful. Anyone with information about this case is urged to contact the Portland Police Bureau, and remember, you can do so anonymously. Back to you.
Thank you, Mike.